Welcome back to DIY Mixers Crew. Today we kick off cloning with the crew. In these videos we will tackle recreating commercial e-liquids submitted by our Facebook crew members. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is David, aka Shake and Vape 007, and joining me is Black Mamba. Y'all may remember him from Back to the Basics. Black Mamba, how are you today, man?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself, man? Doing pretty good.
Hanging in there. So we're gonna be tackling a tough one, man. This is Boba's Bounty. So here's what I think about cloning. What is it? Well, it's taking a commercial e-liquid and trying to recreate it through DIY. And we all know throughout the DIY vaping community that in reality it's not going to be an exact one-to-one match. But hopefully we can get super close to the profile, if not refining it to make it better. You know, Basically my steps on trying to recreate a commercial e-liquid is basically, I try not to look at anyone else's attempts. I get a notepad, I crack it open, I crack the bottle open, I get my first impressions off the profile that I'm working with. First I do the sniff test, pick out the flavors, that I'm used to, like acetylpyrazine or whatever, some kind of additive. I use fragrance test strips, a wet paper towel, anything like that to help me pick up on some of those notes. I write them down, all the recognizable flavors, I write them down. I get a basic idea on where to start. And then, I try to distinguish whether it's a bakery, fruit, spices, stuff like that, you know, and I actually test it on like already vaped cotton and coils. I know it sounds kind of goofy, but it kind of gives me that flavor at first, and then right after that I will change my cotton, and then I will pick out differences on fresh cotton and coils and stuff like that. I try not to overload my palate with it. I will vape it probably for a first few hours or something like that, put it down, come back to it later on that evening, if not wait until the next day, because I don't want to oversaturate my palate with the profile. I try to keep it fresh on my palate. Boba's Bounty was the first chosen from the randomizer from the group. From what I understand, it is a tough one. It figures, but we're up to the challenge, and hopefully we can nail this one down for everyone. So what are your thoughts on cloning, Black Mamba?
My thoughts on cloning. I mean, I've been doing cloning and everything for about the same amount of time that I've been DIYing myself. I really think that cloning isn't the best aspect to go to. I mean, I prefer making my own recipe, but I also love going out and making industry. Um, I'm sorry, making like mainstream juices and everything to your own specs. Most of the time, you actually make it better. Um, One of the big aspects that you do see inside of high grade juices and things like that is that you mainly see that people use a lot and tons of sweetener. And one of the cool things about actually making it yourself is that you don't have to use as much sweetener as they do in, say, like a premium e-liquids and things like that.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. And that's the thing about cloning. On some people don't like the term, but it was a term that was coined by the vaping gods, I call them, back in the day. So I try not to change the language on it because everybody understands it. Everybody knows what it is. But we're gonna crack open this bottle. We're gonna get some of the profiles on this Boba Bounty, and we're going to see, what it's all about, and I'm going to give you my impressions on it. I'm going to switch cameras on you guys here real quick. Let me get the bigger one here. All right. All right, Boba's Bounty. Kind of label kind of wore off here. This is a super dark liquid, though, man. Here's the thing, though, about this one. I really, for a commercial e-liquid, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't bad, to me. Um, I do get the raisins, the spice, the tobaccos, and honestly, right off the bat, the first thing that I tasted, and I know everybody's going to be like, yeah, okay, is milk and honey. That was my first impressions that I got from Boba's Bounty. Now, I did get the tobacco underlying notes. I did get a little bit of a leathery type tobacco-ness with it. I did get the spices. I got some like raisin type spices in there. So I reached for the raisin tobacco that I know that has that raisin spiciness to it, and it was FLV's Arabian tobacco. Um, there was a comment in the Facebook group that somebody suggested that Boba's Bounty came out. I think it was in 2009, I believe, and Favora came out in 2013. So of course there wasn't Arabian tobacco in it from Favora, but Boba's Bounty from Alien Visions, they actually re-released it in 2013. They reformulated it due to them not having a specific flavor. I guess they discontinued it. So they discontinued it, and then they re-released it in 2013. They reformulated it, and from what I read, some of the profiles did change a little bit. From what people said, that it got a little bit more raisiny, I guess, and it was like overly sweet. I don't get overly sweet with the liquid, but I do get the raisin. I'm not saying that that's in there. So my first attempt on this e-liquid was I used Black and Milk from Flavor Express. Sadly, Flavor Express had discontinued that flavor. I mixed that up with the milk and honey and Arabian tobacco, and it was pretty spot on as far as where we needed for this specific profile to get right. So I'm in search of a different tobacco. So you did mix this up, Black Mamba, and how do you feel how close it is to the original from Boba's Bounty? Pretty close, would you say? Like as far as the spices, the milk and honey, and
So what I would say, starting off, I don't prefer tobaccos, but this is one of this is one of the actually very best tobaccos that I'd actually sit there and I'd actually mix up and I'd actually vape. So by saying that, I'd say that the first batch with the Arabian tobacco, the Black and Milk and honey was very good. I did actually like it. It is very, very close.
Okay, cool, man, cool. So what I was thinking is what we're gonna do for today. If you guys have access to Black and Milk, I suggest that you try to give that a mix. And basically, I didn't release that yet, the first attempt, because I wanted to do the show first. So the first attempt on Boba's Bounty was FLV Arabian Tobacco at a 0.5%, FE Black and Milk Tobacco at 3%, FLV Milk and Honey at 0.25%. Now, the initial recipe that I did mix up for that, I did feel that the Arabian Tobacco from Vora came through just a little bit too much. I started getting too much of a leather spicy note from it, but the raisin was coming through. So what I'm going to do for this second version is I'm going to back down the Favora tobacco to 0.25%. I'm going to cut that in half, and then I'm going to probably use either the Black and Mild or Black and Mild Plus. There are a few other tobaccos. I actually did order, I think it was 18 or 19 different tobaccos from Flavor Express to get this right. I might, down the line, I might actually incorporate maybe Flavor Express's it's just a regular tobacco. I might end up using that, or there was another one. I think it was a blended tobacco, blended tobacco we might throw in there. So basically these episodes, though, they're going to be depending on how hard the profile is. If we can crack it on, one show, that'll be awesome. But to kind of refine the recipe, we're going to try to do maybe 1 to 2, shows for you guys to try to get it just right for you.
Of course.
What are you thinking? We're going to mix this up and give that one a rip and see what that's all about. See if that works.
I'm definitely down with mixing this up again. Let me go ahead and check and make sure that I'm good on cotton and everything.
All right. Let me adjust this recipe. What's that?
What mod are you going to be using for the?
Honestly, there's a lot of controversy behind that too. A lot of people say, let me know what type of mod that you're using when you're vaping on a recipe. For those that know me, I'm pretty plain Jane. I do 0.3 ohm coil all the time on A1 Canthal. 6 wraps. It works out that point 0.3. I run it at 4.2 volts, which is roughly 60 watts. Plain cotton bacon. I don't do anything like extravagant as far as you know any Claptons or fused Claptons or stapled. None of that crap. I'm just plain Canthal. So and I understand that wattage and different coil setups is going to play a difference. But here's the thing: if you are cloning a recipe, of course you want a nice flavor RDA when you are cloning. But here's the thing: if you're cloning it on what you normally vape on, you know what I mean? Like if you vape the juice on what you normally vape on, and you're cloning, and then you're vaping it on when you really what you normally vape on, you're gonna get it's gonna be similar. It's gonna be close because as far as the taste wise, it's not gonna change because you're not changing your setup, at all. And then what I do honestly is after I'm done, I do a test side by side on the exact same setup, exact same RDA, exact same cotton wire, everything, and do side by side tests on it all the time.
Okay, understood. My normal testing rig is actually the Ages mod, the very first one. You know, the Ages mod when it first came out, the indestructible mod, and I usually use my dead rabbit with the stable fuse clappings inside of it. But today I'm going to be using my Smock Nord, little small little MTL, just because I think that it's a pretty good mod, and I want to check out, see what the flavor capacity is on this mod. Did you? While you're mixing, I'm going to take a hit off of this, try and check to see what the first mix tastes like. I just did one of the most beginner vapor things ever. Yep, I definitely just got dry headed on a brand new coil. Yeah, that was my first time tasting cotton in a very long time. Oh my gosh. Um, Gosh, I know that took, like I said in the small little video we did last week. I know that took like almost a year off on DIYing, and well, not on DIYing, but just on actually being on video and things like that. Got a lot of new life changes and things like that that's been going on. A bunch of new career changes. Mom is no longer a cop, so that's a thing. Um, Other than that, just been being in the background, checking out everybody else's mixes, mixing up a few other recipes of my own, and just trying to live life. I'm glad to be back though. I mean, I miss being on camera. I miss actually mixing and everything for everybody, actually having an audience and things. So I'm afraid to take another hit now. Nope, there's a flavor. And I'm telling you, any nasty, any dry hit or anything like that cannot taste any worse than that bacon flavor. Oh my god, that stuff made me want to puke. Oh, I actually got them last night. Yep, that's tobacco. You can definitely. No, I was about to say you can definitely taste the raisin in the first mix as well. Tobacco. um, you can definitely taste a little bit of tobacco. There's a little bit of spice in there. I'm trying to figure out. There's another taste that I'm tasting that I can't quite put a finger on it. Yeah, it's kind of tasting like a chocolatey, a little bit of a chocolate taste. Yeah, I definitely love to see what this second mix has compared to this first one because this first one is damn close. Hmm. Hmm. I actually had that leaking problem with one concentrate that I had, and it was actually milk and honey, and I got it from Bull City, and I contacted them within 5 minutes. They were just like, "Yeah, we're sending you out another bottle. Don't worry about it."
Muted. Sorry, Tammy. I'm sitting there talking. You see, this is what happens when you do the first episode. So anyhow,
Oh
going
God.
back. Well, I had my mic muted because my kids left. But anyhow, I take those test strips, and I drip the commercial Eliquid on there and a flavor. I'll put them up to my nose, and I'll smell them back and forth to get the profiles that I feel that are going to be the base of the clone that we're working on. And then pick out 3 or 4. You don't want to go overboard because if you do go overboard, what will end up happening is you'll get outside the realm of what you're trying to recreate. If you start mixing up like 6 or 7 flavors all at once, it's going to throw you off, okay? And that's where, like, going back to picking out certain profiles, working on them to get a base, and then building on those. And then once you build on those, you can just either keep adding it or tweaking the flavors a certain way to kind of get that profile as close as you possibly can before you feel that it's finished. And it goes back to me saying that, you're not, you probably can get an exact 1-to-1, but the chances are you're not going to get 1-to-1. And I was on mute for like 10 minutes, but anyhow. But how do you feel about that, Black Mamba?
You said that your method is going through the smell test when you first get the flavor.
I do, and I vape it. But my first is smell, and then I vape it. You know what I mean? I try to pick out both because certain, like for me, working with flavors for so long, certain profiles stick out a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just by smelling them, and then I vape it to get that. You know what I mean?
Okay, understood. Yeah, I think that my first method, what I always been doing is the old school way, just putting a little drop on like your hand and just trying it out. Just licking it off your hand. Might sound weird, but that's how I was taught to try flavors and things like that. So that's what I usually go to whenever I'm trying to flavor it out. And really, your taste buds really, I think, gives you the best flavor profiling and things like that.
Okay, cool, man. All right, so anything else you want to add before we get out of here for today, man?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Can't wait to get on to the second mix.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, so I would say in about another week, once we get everything together, we're going to release version 1 on the Facebook group. If you guys haven't had a chance to join the Facebook group, please head over to DIY Mixers Crew Facebook group. We have a ton of great mixers out there on there sharing recipes daily. Other than that, that's all I have for this evening with Black Mamba. Thanks for joining me today, Black Mamba.
Anytime, brother.
All right, man. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.
You guys have a great one.